Hi everybody, welcome to my very first FlossTube. My channel is Carla Being Crafty and I am Carla. And I'm coming to you from my studio in sunny Anaheim, California. When I say studio, it makes it sound like I have a lovely art studio. Actually, it's my studio apartment, my tiny little corner of the world. And I'm pretty new to stitching. I just started cross stitching and doing needlepoint in March of this year, and immediately fell in love and have been going gangbusters on stuff that I've purchased, like starting to try and get a stash and things that I'm stitching, and I've really been enjoying watching FlossTube, so I thought that this would be a great time for me to try and start FlossTube, even though I have no idea what I'm doing, so please bear with me. But I thought that would be great because as I learn things or discover things, then I can share it with FlossTube. And in addition, since I'm fairly new and I don't have very much stash, I can kind of like show you everything that I've got going forward, and and then you'll kind of know what I have along with me. So I thought for this first video I would maybe just give you a tiny little bit of history of how I started stitching, and then show you my whips, and then I can save haul and stuff like that for future videos. Hopefully this one will be successful and I'll keep going. So as I said, I started stitching in March, which is kind of not totally true. I grew up, my mom was a very prolific needle pointer, and she did beautiful, beautiful crewel embroidery. So I grew up watching her do that, and of course I always wanted to do it, and I did learn how to needlepoint when I was young, and I think I started several projects. I don't think I ever finished anything. And I loved the crewel embroidery that she did. It was so pretty, and I always wanted to do it. And I would get kits and I would start them and I would hate them. I really didn't enjoy doing the crewel embroidery. I also at some point tried stamped cross stitch and hated it. It was too much like the crewel embroidery. I didn't like stitching those designs on the stamped stuff, and so it was something I never got into, although I've always been doing something crafty, or I've made jewelry, I've done beading, I've done knitting a little bit. I'm not very good, and I'm best at doing like a plain old scarf, but I've always been doing something. And in the 80s, the early 80s, which is when I was in high school, my mom got very into doing plastic canvas, as everyone was doing at the time, and so she did a lot of it and I did a little bit, and I did do a couple plastic canvas projects. Back then I made a set of blocks for a friend that was having a baby, and I know I made a really cool set of refrigerator magnets. I remember those out of plastic canvas. So that's a little bit of the history. Fast forward, to now, and I haven't really done anything stitching related. As I said, I've done beading and all kinds of things. I went through a divorce in 2016, which was a very not great time in my life, and I'm still in many ways kind of recovering from that, emotionally, financially, especially. And in the summer of 2017, I had to move very quickly to an apartment in Long Beach, a studio apartment, and it was teeny tiny. And around that time I started seeing a bunch of ads on Facebook for diamond painting. I was intrigued, but I had no place to do it. It was, as I said, a very, very tiny apartment, and I didn't have a table or anything. Then that only lasted for a year, and unfortunately this past summer I was forced to move again to the studio I'm in now, which, although supposedly square footage wise is smaller, actually feels really bigger, and I feel like I have different areas here. I have my living room, bedroom, and I have my kind of dining craft area, and I have a separate kitchen and all that kind of stuff. So my best friend, who at the time lived in Washington, sent me an Amazon gift card for my birthday in August, this past August, and I decided to use part of it to try out diamond painting and fell in love with it. Along with doing that, I started watching YouTube videos of FlossTube, not FlossTubers, of diamond painters. But Stitcherista was one of those people, and as you know, I'm sure she was a cross stitcher, and kind of through watching her videos and stuff, I started kind of branching out and watching other people's videos, and kind of started watching FlossTube videos and was getting a little bit intrigued. At the same time, around the holidays, I bought my mom a plastic canvas kit. It was a cat tote bag. My mom is a total cat lover, cat lady. And I thought she might enjoy doing that. As I said, she used to be a prolific stitcher. She has had a lot of medical issues, both, you know, physical and internal issues. She lives in a nursing home now, very close to me, so I see her every other week. I think I go over there and spend a couple hours with her. But she had, for quite a while, some significant problems with her hands. She lost a lot of her mobility, dexterity in her fingers, and she doesn't have rotator cuffs. They've like disintegrated, so she can't lift her arms really well. But she's been doing a lot of physical therapy in the last several years, a lot of art therapy things. I got her into beading, like using pony beads, and she makes necklaces and bracelets and keychains for everybody she meets in the world. And she's done coloring, and recently I got her into doing scratch art. So she's done a lot to really improve the dexterity of her hands and her fingers. So I bought her this kit, and I thought that she would enjoy doing it. And while she loved the kit, she didn't feel like she would have the manual dexterity in order to do it. And on top of that, being a stitcher from way back, she was a total perfectionist when it comes to that kind of thing. And she didn't think that she would be able to do it in a way where she would be happy, because if there was any mistakes, it was going to drive her crazy. But she loved the kit, and so she asked me to do it. And this was, as I said, around January, February. So I said, yes, I'll do it for you. At the time, as I said, I was totally into diamond painting. I was diamond painting every night. I have a couple of finished things that, you know, as my channel continues, maybe I'll show them all to you. And I'm continuing to diamond paint as well as stitch. Not as much as I did before, of course, because the stitching has kind of taken precedent. But yeah, this was, as I said, January, February when she asked me to do this plastic canvas kit. So I started stitching the plastic canvas kit, and I would do it kind of like right before I went to bed. After I finished diamond painting, I would kind of get into my little day bed thing, watching TV, and I do like an hour or so of stitching. And I realized that I was really enjoying it. I don't love the plastic canvas, and most plastic canvas kits are kind of a little too crafty, I guess. Even though my channel is titled Carla Being Crafty, I don't necessarily like crafty looking things. But anyway, I was enjoying the process of the stitching. So I thought, hey, you know, I'm enjoying this. Why don't I go on Amazon and just get like a really small needlepoint kit to try it out and see if I like it. And at the same time, because I was watching FlossTube and a lot of people who are into cross stitch, I thought, let me try counted cross stitch. I never tried it before, and although I hated the stamp cross stitch, I just had a feeling that the counted cross stitch might incorporate a lot of like the things that I like. You know, like I like doing jigsaw puzzles, and I like doing the diamond painting, and I just think that there were elements of the counted cross stitch that I might like. So I went online and I got a very small dimensions needlepoint kit of a poppy, and then I got a small reelless counted cross stitch kit, and I tried those both out, and the rest is history, because I was completely hooked and went from there. So that was, as I said, in March, so about 3 months ago or so. And from watching FlossTube, I found out about Stitch Mania, which I didn't participate in, but I did join the Stitch Mania Facebook group. And the first thing I did when I got on there, I posted a post. I made a post and I said that I was in Southern California and was there anybody who lived in my area. And almost immediately I got a message back from a very nice lady named Kathy Kenna, who is, I think she's the administrator of another Facebook group of Southern California cross stitchers. And she invited me to join, and she told me that the Southern California group, which is huge because, you know, Southern California goes from San Diego all the way, you know, through LA. They have get-togethers every Saturday, all over Southern California. So obviously there's no one who could go to all of them because they're not all close. But it turned out that there are 2, sometimes 3 of them that are close to me. So I went to the first one I could and met some lovely people, and I've been to about 3 or 4 since then. And that's one thing that I've discovered about the cross-stitch community that is really part of why I'm doing this, is because it is a community, and that's something that the last several years I haven't been able to find. I mean, how do you make friends when you're a grown-up, you know? I needed play groups, and I needed a place where I felt like I could fit in and just, you know, make friends. And this cross-stitch community has been wonderful. And even watching FlossTube, there's so many FlossTubers that I watch, and I feel like, you know, those people are kind of like my friends. I mean, like, I feel like they're my friends, and the ideas of maybe eventually getting to go to retreats, it's really a great feeling. Everybody is at the, not everybody, but, you know, the StitchCon retreat is this weekend. I'm totally jealous. I don't know if that's ever anything I'll ever be able to go to, logistically, financially, whatever, but I'm really excited to hear about it. And anyway, so that's part of what brought me here. I thought FlossTube looked like it would be a fun thing to do, and I figured I'd give it a try, and hopefully I can make friends this way. I can make connections with other people who really love this craft, and I really like talking about it. And of course, you know, your normal friends in your everyday life don't really love hearing about every little project that you're doing, so this is a forum for that. My mom does love hearing about everything I'm doing. That's another kind of nice thing about doing this hobby, is that she feels really like kind of honored that I'm doing it, because it's kind of, you know, something I feel like I got in my blood from her. So I really like when I go over to see her, I bring all my projects and I show her my progress and everything, and it's kind of a cool thing. So since I started in March, I've completed 3 projects, and I only have one of them here because the other 2 actually were given to my mom. I did a little reelless flower kit that I put kind of in a basket, and I gave it to my mom for Mother's Day. And then I completed her cat tote. And so maybe I'll get that back from her eventually and show it to you guys, since that was like the project that started everything. But the one project, the first project that I finished, the first project I did, and I'm pulling it from behind my back here because I mounted it to a pillow because I actually fully finished it, is this little kit. This was a Dimensions needlepoint kit. And then when I finished it, I just got this pillow from Joann's. I think it was on sale for like $11. But it does have a zipper, so I could take the insert out, and then I sewed the needlepoint to it and just put a little bit of trim. And I did that all hand stitching, and I use it behind my little chair here as a backrest. Because I, you know, at the time I did that, that was like, I didn't have a sewing machine. I have since purchased a sewing machine, which I haven't used yet. I do know how to use a sewing machine. Again, I'm not an expert, but I am planning on making a lot of pillows with my cross stitch and such, because I'm in a studio and I do like to do diamond painting as well. I don't have a ton of wall space, so I think a lot of my projects will become pillows. and I did get the a small sewing machine, a Singer, because that's what my mom always had growing up. So I got a Singer, and as I learn how to make pillows and stuff like that, I'm sure I'll share that as well. So before I show you my whips, which I think is going to be the main focus of this video, and then in future ones then I can show you stash and haul and stuff like that. But before that, I would like to give a few shout outs to some of the people that I've been watching and that have influenced me, and I want to say encouraged me to start a FlossTube. They don't know me from Adam. I mean, hopefully they will watch me and maybe get to know me, but they encourage me because I have so much fun watching them. So as I said, I did watch Stitcherista. I think she was one of the first people I've ever watched, and she doesn't do cross stitch now, which, you know, she's doing what she loves, which is the diamond painting. And as I said, I love the diamond painting too. And actually, let me just show you, this is the last diamond painting that I completed. So I was buying a lot of diamond paintings through New Frog and AliExpress, stuff like that. I don't think I'm going to be doing that anymore. As I've gone into cross stitch, I feel a little bit more aware of the whole copyright thing, and I have 4 or 5 Diamond Art Club paintings that are gorgeous. That's what I'm going to be working on, and when I finish those, which, you know, it's probably going to be 5 years down the road, then we'll see. But for right now, I'm not going to be purchasing any more diamond paintings. I do have a big backload of them to do, but that was the last one I finished. I'm going to need to do my fake framing, which I can talk about sometime in the future. I mounted on a board, and then I used tapes and stuff to kind of simulate a frame, which is my cheap but still good looking way of doing it. So Stitcherista was one of the first people that I started watching, and I love watching her. She can put anything out and I'll watch it because I just like her. Another person like that, Michelle Bendy Stitchy, I started watching her recently. What a warm person. If I'm ever lucky enough to meet her in real life, you know, that would be great. She does all this charity work with her cross stitch, and I just admire that so much, and she just seems like wonderful, and I love her videos. Of course, I started watching Just Keep Stitching with Pam and Steph, and those ladies are wonderful, wonderful ladies. And I love that they're mother and daughter, because as I said, me doing this cross stitch is kind of like a connection with my mom. Even though she's not doing anything like that anymore, it still makes me feel really connected to her. Plus, I'm a cat lady, my mom's a cat lady, so every chart that Stephanie gets that's cat related, of course I want it, and you know, that's very enabling, and that's not a good thing. But I recently started watching Steel City Stitchers, which is a group of 4 ladies, which is fun because then you get 4 different opinions and 4 different styles of stitching. It's very funny. I started watching them just about a month ago, on the very day that my best friend, who I said lived in Washington, moved to a new house that she bought in Pittsburgh. Actually an old house, like a 100-year-old house. And so she was really excited about that, and I happened to come across Steel City Stitchers on the very day she was moving, so that kind of was cool to me. I also have to say, I enjoy it that one of Steel City Stitchers, that's hard to say, Jody is Jewish, and I'm Jewish, and I feel that little bit of connection with somebody who is not necessarily interested in stitching 1,000 Christmas ornaments. No, you know, it's wonderful if you do, but everybody that's talking about Christmas in July and Jolly July, and you know, I feel a little bit left out, but that's okay. I can stitch other stuff. Then I also enjoy watching Brenda, Handwork Maniac. She does very different things, very like eclectic of the stuff that she stitches, and so beautiful the stuff that she does. And I just really love watching her videos, and her daughters. I like when her daughters are on, and when her daughter had her tutorial about how she did Hades, that kind of was an inspiration to me. I have 2 Hades started. They're both small, like quick stitch aids, but I'll talk about that when I show you the whips. And then, so her daughter's, the video that her daughter did with her also led me to watching Karen the Needlebug, who does a lot of really interesting videos about, she does diagonal stitching on her full coverage pieces, and I started doing that. That's how I do my full coverage. So anyway, those let's see, 6 people that I just talked about, those are my shout outs for this week. And you know, if you don't already watch them, although you probably do because they're wonderful, but if you don't, I suggest you go and take a look at their videos, because you'll get something wonderful from each of them. And again, a really cool thing about this whole cross stitch community is that they're very eclectic. If you look at the kind of things that each person does, they're very different. Some people are way into doing more primitive or samplers. Other people are doing the more modern stuff, and I just really love that there's so much variety out there, and that basically you can find something that you're interested in stitching, no matter what your style is. And there's a lot of things that people are stitching that I would never stitch. I mean, they're beautiful what they do, but it wouldn't be something that I would want to stitch myself. Sorry for the noise. I have windows open because it's really hot here today, and apparently somebody thinks that they really need to rev up their motor out in the parking lot. Anyway, so let me get into my whips, and I'm at, like 20 minutes already, so let me do the whips, and then I'll close out. Everything that I have started so far, I have more whips than I thought I would have. I thought it would be like, oh, let me just do 1 or 2 things, but no, it's really fun to start stuff. This is what I consider my travel project or whatever. I put this one in my purse, because it's small, I have it in my little plastic case. This is a Mill Hill buttons and beads kit, Moonstruck, and this is how much I've done on it so far. I'm enjoying doing the Mill Hill kits. I like doing them on the perforated paper, and I like that they're little, so they're not going to take too long. That one's actually kind of a full coverage, so it's going to take longer than other ones. But and then I have 2 other Mill Hill kits, one that I've started with and I haven't, and these are housewarming gifts from my friend Tracy that I just talked about, who just moved to Pittsburgh. She picked them out, so it's okay for me to show them. So this one I haven't started. She's a real wine aficionado, she and her partner, and they have, in fact, they're really excited that the new house has like a wine cellar area so that they can, you know, keep the wine properly cool. Because when she and Jason have gone on numerous like trips, they've been very fortunate to be able to do that, and they have wine that they got directly from France and stuff like that, and so they really want to be able to keep that, you know, properly, since it's valuable. But anyway, so I showed her a couple different Mill Hill kits that were that I could stitch for her as a housewarming thing, and she liked the 2 wine ones. I'd also showed her like the olive oil and the balsamic vinegar as an alternative set, and she liked the wine better, which I was actually kind of glad about because I like the olive oil and balsamic vinegar, so I'm gonna stitch this for me. But so this is the white wine one, which I have not started yet. And then this is the red wine. And here it is. Oops, my little teddy bear need a reminder on it. So I know that the kits say that you're supposed to stitch the whole thing and then do the beading, but I kind of find that annoying, so I'm kind of doing it as I go along. But those are actually pretty fun to do, and I think they're coming along pretty cute. So there's that. Okay, this is a white willow stitching tribal cat, which I am doing for my mom. And I also collect elephants aside from liking cats, so I also have the elephant one that I have not started yet, but I will be doing it for me. But I'm doing this one for my mother. And so I'm about 3/4 finished, I would say. I'm doing this on 14 count Aida. All of my pieces are on Aida so far. I haven't chosen anything else yet, and don't know if I will. I'm happy with Aida. This is Lavender Bliss 14 count Aida from Wilchit Imports. I got that at 123 Stitch, and I'm using a DMC color variations. It's, what is it, 4211. But I really like those tribal. As I said, I'm gonna do the elephant one for me, and then my mom and I both like the unicorn, so that might be done eventually as well. Okay, let me show you my first aid. I decided to do quick stitch first, and I don't know if I'm ever going to do a regular Haid. I do have a pattern for one that I bought, because I love the Randall Spangler, the houses, the Village Bookstore and the Rose Trellis Inn, and I have both of those patterns. I just don't know if I'm ever going to do them, because the quick stitches, there's an end in sight. I don't know if I want to do something where it's going to be years and years. I'm not sure yet. That's something I'm going to have to decide on. So, but this quick stitch that I'm doing is called Lavender Roses by Carrie Hawks, and there it is. I am almost to the bottom. I have another, actually it's not even going to be a full like 10 stitches down to hit the bottom. So when I do my next diagonal, it's going to hit the bottom and it won't actually go to a point. It'll, you know, and I'm over halfway. So this one, I think the halfway point was right around here. So it's only going to go to like here. But I really love how it's coming out. This is, as I said, my first full coverage that I started. I started doing it on the diagonal immediately. Obviously I do parking, and when I stitch it, I keep the needles on while I stitch. So each stitching session, I keep all the needles on. I'm not going to be doing that rethreading thing. And I'm doing that on 18 count Easy Guide, I think it's called. 18 count, I use 2 strands of DMC. It's 18 count Aida with 2 strands. Okay, then my second Haid that I started is another quick stitch. This one's called Catnap Faye by Nadia Tate, and I have 3 or 4 other Nadia Tate patterns that I've already purchased, and there's a bunch that I like. I mean, she has, most of her stuff are quick stitch, and I like that. I like the idea of being able to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. So this one is at that point, and I'm doing it on the blue. This is 16 count Aida, and it's one of the ones with the sparkle, an opal with the sparkle. I also got this fabric from 123 Stitch, and I gridded it myself using fishing line, because I do like the gridding on a full coverage. It just makes it easier to do the parking, because you don't always have to count over. You can see where it is according to the 10 space. This one I did it on the blue because I'm not going to do the background on this. So when I get up into this background area, I'm just gonna not stitch it, and it'll be the fabric instead. And I have a couple from her like that. She has a lot where the backgrounds I feel don't need to be stitched. So I have some cool fabrics that I think would look really great. But that one will be the first one to see how it turns out. As I said, I also like doing needlepoint. I have 2 needlepoint pillows that are in progress. This one, I have to say, is kind of on timeout. I'm not loving this. It was a kit. I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. It is by Design Works. But I feel like that they're stingy with their thread, and I'm not loving the coverage. You know, it could be my tension and everything. I've gotten that much done. I just don't, I think that they're kind of stingy, and it says in the instructions specifically to do 10 stitch, you know, which continental stitch, when you do that in needlepoint, it makes it much thicker, and I think it looks better, but of course it uses a lot more thread. So when it's a kit and they don't give you enough thread, you have to do the stitch that they say. And so I think it's kind of chintzy, and since it's a kit, I can't really do anything about it. So that one's kind of on timeout. This one is from Collection d'Art, and it's Black Grace 1. I think it's, yeah, Black Grace 1. Sorry about the glare. There is a Black Grace 2, which I also have. I just haven't started that one yet. This one, the yarns feel really nice, and I didn't realize this when I purchased this, but it's actually, although it's a needlepoint kit and it's done on canvas, it's actually cross stitch, because it calls for, you know, the 2 stitches per square. So I think it gives it a really cool look, and as I said, it feels really nice. So I kind of do, I'm not working on this one that much, but every so often I'm pulling it out and I'll do like a couple rows. And I love like switching colors, so you know, when I get to the point like with this, now I have all of this like turquoise color to do before I can get to this green. So that part gets a little tedious because I can't switch colors, and I'm not gonna go and do the green, you know, before I finish the blue. That's not how I want to do it with that one. Okay, I have 3 more things that I'm working on. As I said, my first cross stitch that I got was a Riolis kit. I really like the Riolis kits. I like, I don't know if you've ever worked on them before, but Riolis is not cotton thread. It's a wool blend floss, and they come on these. They come on these cards. So I think it's a wool and acrylic, I think, and it has a very different feel than like DMC. Not better, not worse, just different, and I do like it, and I really like the Riolis, especially the flower kits. So I do like stitching flowers, and plus with flowers, it's like if you mess up a little bit, nobody knows because it's flowers. So this is the one I'm doing. It's Sweet William. I'm not that far along on it, but I just love the colors in that. The pinks just kind of really make me happy. So I'm sure that there's more Riolis kits in my future. When I finish this one, I also have one that I'll show you maybe next time, like when I show like stash and stuff. I have the hydrangea one. So that will be the next one I do after I finish this, but it's going to be a while before I get this one done because it's, you know, it's only getting worked on sporadically. This is one of the ones I like taking to the Saturday stitches that I do, and then the cat, the tribal cat, because it's just, I don't have to change threads, and that one's just easy to do when I'm out. So once I finish the tribal cat, I'll either bring the tribal elephant with me when I go to stitches, or I'll bring the Riolis kits. Okay, this kit this chart I started. I found this chart on eBay. It's an older chart, probably 1994, which when you look at it, it's hand done. I mean, it's handwritten, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of old-fashioned looking, and I know you know, for people who've been stitching for a really long time, sometimes they make comments about, oh, it's old, or it's 80s, or it's 90s, and well, I wasn't stitching then, so stuff doesn't look like necessarily dated to me. The reason I got this, I don't know how much you can see, but this is the To Everything There's a Season, and that's why I got it. It's got the four corners are the 4 different seasonal trees, but I got it because of the poem from Ecclesiastes. My dad, I lost my dad when I was 10. My dad passed away from meningitis when I was 10. So there's certain things that I want to stitch because they make me think of him. This is one of them. He loved the bird song, you know, To Everything There's a Season, turn, turn, turn. And I remember when he taught it was either a youth group or a Sunday school, I don't know, but it was a class that I was in at the temple. I remember him playing that. He actually brought in his whole, like, reel-to-reel tape player at the time and played that song for the class because we were talking about this verse. So I'm not that far on this. I finished this top corner with the apple tree. And I am using metallic floss, DMC metallic floss on this. I kind of pulled my own colors. I have a bit of stash as far as DMC from stuff I purchased for kits, and then I also purchased like a big haul on eBay of old threads, and because I wanted to build my stash. So I went through, I have a DMC color chart fold out thing. I'm sure you know what this means. Anyway, it's a fold out thing, and so I went through, and if I did not have the called for color, I looked it up on the chart. I also have a little bag of non-DMC. When I got my big eBay purchase, it was like over 300 skeins. I think I got it for like $30, 300 skeins for $30. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Most of it was DMC, but there was some that wasn't. So I put all of the ones that weren't in a bag. But I went through the DMC chart, and if I did not have the DMC color, I found something similar. And I just made like notations for myself. So that's where I am on that one. I'm also finding that a lot of people talk about backstitching and how they can't stand it. I don't mind doing it. I kind of like to do it as I go. So like I'm finishing areas when I finish, you know, when I do an area, it's completely finished. So I don't think I'll ever leave like backstitch till the very end. But okay, and then my last whip is this is a Glendon Place. Again, because I'm new, I'm discovering companies and things that have really cool designs. So this is one that I discovered on eBay. Again, probably not something that people have been stitching a long time or that, you know, surprised by, but I thought that this was just wonderful. The All Hallows Eve, the, like 12 days of Halloween, my ghoulie gave to me. I just loved this when I saw it on eBay, so I had to get it. And then I found this perfect fabric, and this is how far I am. Oops. Yeah. Okay, so I finished the top with the moon. There's a couple more spiders that I need to put over here, but for the most part that's done. And then I finished the witch, but I'm still working on her cauldron. And oh, and by the way, any of the needle minders you see, I bought all my needle minders from Kim's Needle Minders on Etsy. I found that I like flat needle minders. Like I got this one. This was from 123 Stitch, and it's like totally, where are you? Totally cute, but it's like glass, like a little dome, and I like it for like, I'll use it to hold patterns on and stuff, but it's not to me good as a actual needle minder because they wiggle around. So I like ones that are flat. And Kim's Needle Minders has really cute ones and really good prices. So I mean, they range from like $3, and of course you can get ones that are more expensive, but most of them are like $3 to $5 range. And I don't feel bad if I go and buy 4 needle minders and I'm only spending, you know, $12. If I bought 4 needle minders and was spending like, you know, $30, I would feel like I was not being smart. So there is my blend in place. What I have been doing mostly with patterns is I'm making working copies that I can then fold up and like just put a little bit either clipped or magneted to the hoop. I use hoops, except for my my full coverage. I got kind of fake Q-snap type things that I got a kit that has these pieces, so that I can put it, I put it like this, and then the second part goes up here. When I have it, I have tape on it to stick it to my thing, so that just caught my hair. I'll put it flat if I am at the top of the diagonals, because I can work behind it. If I'm at the bottom of the diagonal, I made these little props, so I'll like put it at the table angled, and then I can put my hand underneath here to work on the heaven and earth designs, because I just found that was easier than trying to work in a hoop and having to hold the hoop. Anyway, so that's going to be it for my first video. I think I made it to like 40 something minutes, so not bad for not knowing what I'm doing. But thank you so much for coming here and sharing these few minutes with me, and I really appreciate any support. If you like my video, please subscribe, like it. I know those things are important in the YouTube world. I don't know exactly what that does or helps with. I mean, I know subscribers makes a difference, but oh, I just gotta breathe. That's nice. Again, thank you so much, and if you have any comments or questions, put them in the space below, and I will try and answer any questions, and definitely read the comments. And again, thank you. In the meantime, this is Carla signing off, and until next time, just remember to always be content, be kind, and be crafty. Thank you. Bye-bye.